Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Olumide Jones. I'll be your moderator for today. So we allow like 4 more minutes so others can join us so before we start. So may I ask that you let us know where you're joining from, by putting in the chat box, your name, the continents where you're coming, joining from so we can know ourselves better. And you can also, while we wait for others to join, you can also use that to network with yourselves by putting your LinkedIn details on the chat box so we can also network with ourselves because we are here to learn and also to network. Thank you. We've got people from Dubai, Abu Dhabi, India. So we've got guys from all over the place, so.
That's terrific.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
It's all in the leadership.
Yeah.
That's
so
true.
So
oh, I'm on.
So you can just put your LinkedIn details on the chat box so you can network with yourselves. We're here to learn and to network. So please feel free to, to put your LinkedIn details on the chat box. It's fine. Thank you. So without further ado, Greg, I'll be starting now.
Would you like me to share now?
No, not yet. Let me finish. So hello everyone, once again. So we are starting the webinar now. It's 7:05. So I welcome you all to today's webinar, Shields Up Project Management. With us today is Dr. Greg Skulmoski. So today you'll be teaching us, talking to us about Shields Up Project Management, which we highlight a couple of things, how we can bringing together many standards we align with as managers, doing projects and showing how effective risk management techniques that can be used, which are not yet in Pembroke guide. So today is going to be an interesting one because Greg has come today fully prepared to teach us a lot of things regarding today's webinar. But before I leave the floor for Greg to take us through today's webinar, I would like to talk a little bit, a few things about the chapter that has put together this wonderful webinar. That's PMI UAE Chapter, for the benefit of those that have not, that's joining us for the first time. So without further ado, I'm going to take us through the chapter that has done this wonderful webinar. So we all know that PMI UAE Chapter is part of the global PMI, which is domiciled in the US. And what we do basically is to ensure that we advance the profession worldwide. Basically, our mission basically is to ensure that we empower people, empower managers like you and I to bring up, to turn our ideas into reality, by using innovative ideas and ensuring that we make use of the project management principles that we all know about. And our mission basically is to disrupt the ecosystem. There are things that can be done, creating values for ourselves and for our organizations. So, and we're proud to say that PMI UAE Chapter is one of the top 5 chapters in the globally in terms of members, and we are going day by day. And our chapter is run by volunteers 100%. And today I'm happy to announce to you that we are just 5 years plus today, and we've got over 2,000 plus members. So that's a good one. So, and I think we are still growing, and we need more people to join us. And at the moment, we have more than 20 plus active volunteers, and we are also asking that you also come join us and be part of volunteers for the PMI chapter, so we can take this wonderful UAE chapter forward. So these are our wonderful board of directors, from the president to down to PMO manager. So you'll be seeing many of them whenever we have our physical events, maybe in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. But these are the members of the board of directors, which you'll be seeing often. And basically, the membership of the chapter cuts across so many industries, from construction to IT, to oil and gas, to healthcare, government, and others. But at the moment, construction and IT takes the larger chunk of the share of the cake, like taking 30% and 90%, respectively. So, being a member of UAE chapter, you have got so many benefits, which cuts across 4 pillars, from networking, to knowledge sharing, to career growth and events. In networking, like I said earlier on, when we started the webinar, that we are here to learn and also to network with ourselves, because we came from all over the world, from different industries, different sectors, different professions. So we are here to network, to learn from each other, and also to learn from the speaker. So networking is one of the core things we benefit from being a member of the UAE chapter, and also to learn. You see, learning is part of it, because what we learn, because knowledge, as I say, knowledge is light. You see, knowledge is power. So with learning, we're able to take our career to the next level, which also enables us to grow in our career. And also, and events is also one thing that we take seriously in the chapter. We try to ensure that we bring in webinars, as often as possible, so we can ensure that our members have good quality and value for their membership dues. So our ecosystem, sponsors, partners, and collaboration partners, they cut across so many areas with National Archives to Dubai Health Authority to universities, medtech, all over the place. We've got so many partners, within our system, within our ecosystem. So we also ask that if you want to become a partner, just reach out to us and we'll put you through. And to find out more about UAE chapter, we are on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. And again, the recordings of our previous webinars, you'll find them on our YouTube channel. So you can also go there and check what we have done so far regarding webinars. But by there, you can also learn from our previous webinars. And this particular webinar, the recording should be out in the next 3 weeks or 4, and you'll find it on our YouTube channel. So you can check it out and download what is out. So today's webinar, you're going to be having 2 PDUs, and please don't have to worry about how to claim the PDUs, because we're going to claim it for you in about 4 weeks from today, and it will be in your account automatically. So don't have to bother yourself. Just focus on today's webinar, engage with the panelists, engage with Greg, ask questions, chat with us, because we want to know you more. We want to be sure that you're actually gaining knowledge, insight in what we're going to do today. So please engage with Greg. Engage by asking questions, but put your questions on the Q&A box while you chat with us by engaging us on the chat box, because we want to get to know you more. We want to ensure that you actually get quality today. So please ask questions on the Q&A. Don't let today be a boring webinar. Please let Greg know that, yeah, we've got quality guys on the call today. Please put your question on the Q&A box, and we will address them at the end of the webinar. And in case you don't get your PDUs in after 4 weeks, please email us at info@pmiuae.org, and we will surely address that for you. But please, you know that the webinar is going to be like an hour plus, 1 hour, 15 minutes thereabouts. Please stay put on your screen. We want to see you, we want to talk to you, we want to be sure that you actually engaging us. But if you don't do that, I'm sorry, you might not be able to get your PDUs, because there's a way we know that you didn't actually participate in today's webinar. So I want to say, please enjoy yourself, have fun, and Greg is going to take us through. So without further ado, I'm going to leave the floor for Greg to take us through today's webinar. Greg, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm new to Zoom, so let me find myself. I'm in my office in Australia, and at midnight they close down the lights, so the lighting is a little bit different here. So let me share my screen. Okay. So tonight I want to talk about cybersecurity project management, and it's based on my book that came out last month, Shields Up, Cybersecurity Project Management. And it's a culmination of my research and my experience in projects in Canada, the United Arab Emirates, and Australia. So tonight I'm going to address 3 key points. First of all, it's my contention that cybersecurity is risk management. And we don't get cybersecurity without projects. And third, I'm going to share some techniques and thoughts that aren't in the PMBOK guide, and they're related to risk management. And I truly believe that these will help you in your projects. But I'd like to tell you a little bit about my journey in projects and how I've eventually come to the Middle East and to you tonight. Well, it began when I was in finance on a project team, and our project struggled. So PMI wasn't around, so I thought I would get an MBA. And I learned about income statements, labor law, and the 3 Ps of marketing. And that didn't help me in my projects. And then I discovered a project management PhD program in Canada, and I joined that. And it was led by Dr. Francis Hartman, who was a real pioneer in project management. And very fortunate for me, PMI invited him onto the update team to update the PMBOK guide. Dr. Francis could not make it, so he nominated me. And I was very fortunate that PMI accepted me onto the update team to update the PMBOK guide. And so I was involved in one of the authors of the 2000 edition. So that's definitely a highlight of my career. I continued and finished my PhD and moved to the Middle East. I taught project management at Zayed University, and I absolutely loved it. I had great students, great colleagues. One of the highlights at Zayed University was my students picking me as the top IT teacher, and I'm still in communication with some of these great teachers or students. In 2011, I left Zayed University and I joined Cleveland Clinic Abu Dhabi to build this magnificent hospital. I was employee 76 and I practiced what I professed. I was a project manager for about 14 technical projects, and along the way, I was nominated and won the Middle East Security Award from the Chief Information Security Officers for how I managed risk in projects. I left in about 2018 and came to Australia at Bond University, where I teach in the Innovation Project Management program. And a couple of years ago, I formed a research cluster on gamification and serious games. We have about 8 research projects underway. So I'm still doing project management, and so I'm very fortunate for that. Last year, my last project at Cleveland Clinic won a major award for the top 10 medical innovations. And this was my hospital's first Internet of Things project, where we connected implanted cardiac devices like defibrillators and pacemakers, connected that through Bluetooth to the smart device and then to the hospital. It was very innovative at the time. So I'm very fortunate to be part of that award-winning project. I wrote a book and I put all these theories and techniques together, and it came out last month. I'm writing a new book on cybersecurity readiness, a project management approach to training. So this is how I've come to you through a path through projects and through a path through academia. So I've been very fortunate to have dual careers. Tonight, I want to address the high demand for cybersecurity projects and how we can align standards for cybersecurity project success. And I want to share a risk management strategy, not in the PMBOK guide. So what is cybersecurity? Well, it's been defined as defending digital assets like data, systems, anything that's part of our ecosystem. And in the last few years, cyber crime, cyber attacks, and terrorism have been increasing, greatly increasing. But my concern is about cyber terrorism. Remember with 9/11 and the attacks in New York on the World Trade Center? Well, overnight, that changed everything. And I'll remember I was in Calgary when this happened, and my flight was canceled where I was going to speak to a PMI chapter in Regina, Saskatchewan. And now we take off shoes and many other precautions due to that one incident. So in the world, we see regional actors like Russia menacing other countries through war. And Russia has used cyber terrorism directly on Ukraine and have threatened other countries, including Australia. So there's the potential that something really, really bad could happen. So that's something to look out for. 287 days is what IBM tells us is the average time to detect and contain a security breach. Think about that. 287 days in our system. But me, being a project manager, I see risk management. Detection is risk identification, and containment is mitigation. So for me, cybersecurity is really all about risk management. And lucky for me, I'm a project manager. I've learned about risk management. Now, why is this day important? Well, I want you to play along with me and imagine this. Tonight, when you go home, I'm going to sneak into your house, and I'm going to stay there for 287 days until June 23rd, 2023, next year. I'm going to watch what you do, where you go at home. Then when you go to work in the day, I'm going to look around under your bed, in your closets, in the drawers. 287 days. So that's cybersecurity. That's what we're trying to improve. So a lot of the projects is to reduce this number. Well, how does cybersecurity work? The NIST, a cybersecurity framework, outlines 5 cybersecurity functions. We identify what we want to protect, then we protect it, then we detect and look for threats, then we respond and recover from threats. Those are the 5 functions. But when you read the NIST framework, it also says we should have quality improvement because the threat actors are continuously refining and improving. Therefore, we should continuously improve. So that's how cybersecurity works. And this this framework is a very short one, only 55 pages, yet it's one of the leading cybersecurity standards globally. Now, why do we have such an emphasis on cybersecurity? What's driving it? Well, first of all, we have more digital transformation, and all of us went through that with the pandemic. So more digital transformation occurred. But more is coming with artificial intelligence and quantum computing. The perfectly good systems that we use today are going to be discarded when the improved versions with artificial intelligence and later quantum computing arrive. So I see that there's, for the next 10 years or so, there's going to be a continuation of digital transformation projects. So that's an opportunity for us, isn't it? We'll have more cybersecurity projects because there's more cybersecurity attacks. It's very lucrative. Threat actors can make a lot of money, and the entry barriers are very low. With a few $1,000s, you can buy the tools with a few clicks and set up your own business to hack into computers. Now, we're going to see more cyber attacks when the threat actors start leveraging artificial intelligence to outsmart us and quantum computing. Right now, the threat actors have the advantage. We're going to see more cybersecurity projects because the government recognizes the threat, and all over the world, they are updating the regulations to give governments more power and to obligate companies and other entities to comply. So we're going to see more cybersecurity projects to comply with government regulations. So I encourage you to look up your country and cybersecurity regulations just to see what's happening. Again, that provides opportunities for us. And finally, the final driver I'd like to discuss is that many of us take out cybersecurity insurance for our organizations. And just last year, the premiums for some of these companies increased by 127%. So the cybersecurity insurance companies realize that that there are suffering losses, so they have increased the price of premiums. So if you want cybersecurity insurance, it's going to cost you a lot more. However, if you can demonstrate that you have a robust cybersecurity program, then you can get a discount on your premiums. So for these three reasons, we see more projects for cybersecurity. So the result is more projects and an increased demand for cybersecurity project managers. Indeed, when you look at the literature, many are starting to describe the shortage of skilled cybersecurity professionals, including project managers, to be in crisis. So it takes a long time to recruit these professionals. So we have more project management, more cybersecurity projects. What's the best approach? Well, we can look to standards to find out. And I rely upon the PMI PMBOK guide, as well as ISO standards for risk and quality management. And increasingly, we should look to ITIL, the Information Technology Infrastructure Library. And this is for digital products and services like emails, software. But we can see in construction, there's more and more technology involved in construction. For example, in roads, we have sensors. We have BIM projects. So increasingly, construction has more technology in their construction projects, and they can benefit by aligning to the ITIL framework. I'll discuss that a little bit more further in this presentation. So what's the best approach? We can take these 4 standards and frameworks and add to it the cybersecurity frameworks and standards. NIST cybersecurity framework and the ISO information security standard. So we can put all of these together for cybersecurity project management. Pretty tough? Well, no, it's actually fairly easy for project managers to do this. Let me explain. So for me, the best approach for most projects, it's the simple traditional project management approach, the waterfall approach, where we initiate a project, plan, design, build, test. And I've included here a transition to production, T2P. And because we have more digital elements in our projects, the T2P is where we hand over our project to IT operations, or those people that will manage the digital components once it goes live. So if you're in construction, think of this as handover. We take the plumbers and carpenters, they return the keys at the end of the project. Our vendors and software, we take away their passwords. So it's a very similar step that we do in construction, the transition to production. Then we go live, provide our digital product or service, and then we have closure. And then whatever we've delivered, they use that, and hopefully they derive value. Along the way, we might do some iterations. borrow from adaptive project management. In testing, we might find some defects, so we might do some more iterations. But we can also benefit with other techniques, such as tailoring, to pick and choose the right elements so we have a lean project plan. And then in the design phase, apply design thinking. So we really get usable products that provide value. And if we're improving a process, we might use Lean Six Sigma to identify pain points and to improve turnaround time. In the testing phase, we can use a combining where we can go to ITIL and improve testing. And finally, we can use a T2P checklist so we don't miss anything before we go live. So we can put all of this together, and the promise, the value proposition, is follow this project management approach, and you're more likely to keep quality high and risks low. I believe this. Now, in my experience with the PMBOK guide, we had a very simple rubric about what got into the PMBOK guide. So what we did is that PMI said we're going to update version 1, and they put a call for input. And so there was 164 recommendations for changes. And so we evaluated those changes, and it had to be generally acceptable and applicable to most projects most of the time. And if it fit those two rubric criteria, then it would go into the new version. So applicable to most projects most of the time and generally acceptable. So this, what I'm showing you tonight, cybersecurity project management, will fit most cybersecurity projects most of the time. Now, what about agile project management? Well, we can also use this in cybersecurity projects where we have a product backlog of our requirements, and then we just go through the analyze, design, build, test, and deliver, iteration after iteration. And if we follow this approach, then the value proposition is that we're more likely to keep quality high and risks low. And I believe this too. We also need to bring in quality management, and ISO guides us that quality management begins with planning, and then we have quality assurance, we complete the work, and then quality control. So quality assurance are those things we do before we do the work, such as training on how to use the new version of Microsoft Project, or using the process to create the schedule from our PMO, or perhaps templates for the schedule. So we use these things, these tools, training, processes, templates, checklists, before we do the work to keep quality high and risks low. Then we complete the work. And there's a wide variety of project work that we can undertake. But after we complete the work, we do quality control. That's find and fix defects. And again, we can be guided by the testing process, for example, and testing checklists that have scripts and cases in them. And then stage gates. So once the testing is done and the test report is approved, the gate opens and we proceed to the next phase. So this is quality management. And I see it as ABC, quality assurance before quality control. Because when I listen to commentators and people talk about quality, sometimes they say that we have a very effective quality assurance program to find our defects. So they mix up quality assurance and quality control. So to help me remember, I invented ABC, quality assurance before control. But here's what I'd like you to think about. It is my belief that everything in the project plan relates to quality assurance. We create a budget and we follow the budget. Why? So that we're more likely to deliver according to our budget. We have a schedule and that keeps us on track. So all these elements of a project plan really have to do with quality assurance. So yes, we're project managers, but we also are experts at quality management. And if we follow this approach, then the value proposition is that we'll have high quality and we'll keep risks low. This approach is also detailed in the PMBOK guide. We also include continual improvement with a Deming cycle, and that's just classic quality management. Plan, do, check, act by Ed Deming. He developed this in the early 1950s, and it's been a staple ever since. It's incorporated in the PMBOK guide, and if you think about it, it's very likely that agile project management was greatly influenced by this iterative plan, do, check, act cycle. Very similar. So I think we have Ed Deming to thank for agile project management. And we can use this in cybersecurity projects, and I'll show you that in a minute or two. Now, Deming said leadership is only 99% of the problem. Let's also include risk management, where we have plan, identify, analyze the probability and impact, perhaps with qualitative measures of high, medium, and low. And then we treat with prevention and mitigation. Then we monitor and control if necessary. The PMBOK guide uses response, but with ISO risk management, it's virtually the same. And again, the value proposition is if we follow this risk management approach, we're more likely to keep quality high and risks low. So let's put all of this together. So we can tailor and combine, and we get hybrid project management. And we can use this in our cybersecurity projects. But before we move to cybersecurity, as promised, I want to talk a little bit about ITIL, the Information Technology Infrastructure Library. It's a terrible name for service management, but that's what it is. So it's a framework to guide organizations to deliver digital services like cybersecurity, detection, emails, and ERP services. It begins with a demand, and then we deliver a project. They call it the service value chain. We call it project delivery. Then we give it to operations who use it and derive value. To maintain value, we have continual improvement, quality management. And ITIL calls this whole approach the service value system. And it includes 34 practices. And it's similar to our 10 knowledge areas in the PMBOK guide. It begins with strategy management about what digital services we want to provide. It has a practice for project management and release management. And release management are those final things we do in the transition to production phase, where we get ready to deliver our digital services to the end user. There's also a risk management practice, which aligns with ISO and PMI's risk management. There's a practice for the service desk and incident management. So when we have a trouble with our printer or our passwords have to be changed and we have problems, incident management practice is what the IT service desk follows. And if we want new digital services, we can follow the service request management practice. And there's a continual improvement practice, which aligns with ISO and what we do in project management. So that's ITIL. And you can see that it's very, very similar to what we do in projects. They're focused on risk and quality management in ITIL, and we are too. So we deliver projects so that they can be used in operations. And when operations want major improvements, we can improve it through agile project management or through the traditional approach, like a traditional project management waterfall approach. So let's bring it all together. Here we have ITIL beginning with a demand and delivering value through projects and continual improvement. We add to that our project management delivery approach. We provide value. And when we want continuous improvement, we can go through agile sprints, optimization sprints. Indeed, look at sprint 3. I'm calling it an ADDIE sprint. That's an acronym for training. And the ADDIE model is to analyze training requirements, design, develop, implement training, and evaluate training. And again, this ADDIE, I think it's been influenced by the Deming cycle. So there we are. Project management aligned with ITIL. It has quality management and risk management inherent. All we have to do is now apply it to cybersecurity projects. So what exactly is cybersecurity project management? I'd like to outline 3 use cases. The very first one is where we implement software. Okay, so we might need new software to improve detection and response capabilities. So all that we do, we just go through the traditional project management approach. We do testing, T2P, and hand it over. The second approach is where we design in cybersecurity. And this is how it works. We're guided at the beginning of a project, of a technology project, for example. And so we just start with stakeholder management. We identify who our stakeholders are. So we want to design in cybersecurity. So we notify security that we have a new project, and we invite them to the planning phase, and they verify our checklist, T2P checklist, with us. Now, one thing I'd like you to know about IT security is they don't want us to build things that they can't protect. So that's easy. We just invite them to our design workshops, and they verify the design before it's approved. Now, the IT security team will make sure that the design is aligned with NIST and ISO. Then we go on to the build phase, but really we don't build. We don't do software development. Instead, it's more configuring with drop-down menus. We test it, it all goes well, and then we move to the transition to production phase so that we can safely and securely release our new innovation to the end users so that they can derive value. So that's how we design in cybersecurity. It's simply as stakeholder management and inviting IT security. But here's the thing, I won this major award just for stakeholder management. So because I was inviting IT security, they appreciated that because I was letting them to design in security. So when it came to the end, they bought into it. It was easy. So that's how I won this major award, just through project stakeholder management, what you and I do every day. So I'm a little bit surprised to win this award for something that we commonly do, but it was appreciated. Now let's bring in NIST. For NIST, what they want to do is improve, to become more mature. So the third use case is to conduct a cybersecurity audit to see where we are in the maturity. And then when we may identify projects to improve. Now, when we do an audit, we can also demonstrate our maturity to outside authorities, such as the government, remember the regulations, or we can demonstrate our maturity to reduce cybersecurity premiums. And the NIST standard or framework here will help us. This is an example of a very low complexity project. And I say that because the requirements are very clear and there's no testing involved, and we can follow the audit process, which is well established. So if you have junior team members, this would be a very good project to assign them. I did a lot of work in project management maturity about 25 years ago. And one of the things I published is very close to what they're now doing in cybersecurity. So it's a very solid cybersecurity maturity framework, in my opinion. So let's put it together. Here's our use cases. We want to improve upon 287 days. So we implement software so we can find and detect and contain the security breach faster. We design in cybersecurity, or we can have audit projects so we know where we need to improve. Now, the thing about audit projects, it might trigger a new project to improve cybersecurity capabilities. So that's cybersecurity project management. And I'd like to move to show you a few things not in the PMBOK guide. And this is the ability to change a paradox. At the beginning of our project, we hardly have any information. But at the end of the project, we know exactly how much we spent, if we were on time or late, which team members performed outstandingly, any problems with the supply chain risks. So at the end, we know quite a bit. However, at the beginning of the project, if we want to make changes, it's very easy to make changes. For example, in a construction project, we can decide very easily to make our meeting rooms 25% larger to allow for safe social distancing. But if we want to make those rooms larger at the end of the project, it's very difficult to make meeting rooms 25% larger after it's been constructed. So changes are increasingly difficult to make as we progress through the project lifecycle. And if we want to make changes, they're very inexpensive at the beginning, but very expensive to make as we end our project. So let's look at this paradox now. When changes are the easiest, they are the least costly, but we lack information. Conversely, the changes are the hardest and most costly when we have the most information. So what we try to do is shift the information curve to learn more about our project sooner rather than later. And one thing that has helped me in my projects to shift the curve is to front-end load. So with my students, they say, I wish I had one more day to study. Well, the way I tell them to do that is to front-end load, to bring forward future work, to make room in the future to address risks and issues and to leverage opportunities. Here's an example that I used in projects. So we're going to design in security, invite IT security, and in the planning phase, we ask what activities need to be done in the T2P phase, but I'm interested in the early start. When can we do them? What's the earliest? And also who needs to do those tasks? And so then I raised a service ticket. So what I did is once I knew what we had to do, who had to do it, and the earliest we could start, we then went into the system and raised service tickets. And with the people that were doing the work, they actually told us what to type in. Okay, so now the work was already in the system with a to be determined date. So as we came closer to going live, the tickets were already in the system and there was no confusion. So what we did, we pulled forward T2P checklist items. So the busiest time of our project is often just before we go live. It's the most stressful, and we were able to pull about 60% of our items out of the T2P phase and to do them earlier. So it's a little bit like a fast tracking. So if you wish you had one more day on your project, consider a front-end loading. I tell my students that 12-hour days are easier at the start of the project than at the end of the project. So I encourage project participants to do the difficult days at the beginning rather than at the end. I challenge my students with 10 12-hour days at the front end, and it makes a tremendous difference. So this is a technique that's not in the PMBOK guide. It's related to not crashing, but I said it before I lost it. So I'd like to conclude with 3 points. For me, cybersecurity is risk management. And we have standards. We know how to do this in the project world. Cybersecurity, the people that perform cybersecurity, they're our cousins. Okay, we talk the similar language and we have similar goals. Second, project management underpins cybersecurity. We can't buy cybersecurity on eBay or on Amazon.com. The way we get cybersecurity and the way we improve it is only through projects. So for me, that's a tremendous opportunity given the 3 drivers for more projects. And I'd like to leave you and encourage you to front-end load to shift the information curve, to bring forward work to create opportunities for yourself in the future. So these techniques are in my book and more, and it's already getting some very positive front-end praise. This book is a recognizable contribution to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 9. So some of the content, you can access it on the QR code. So from IBM, Microsoft, McKinsey, and others. But it's all basically the same. More cybersecurity work is coming, more project work for us. And if you're not directly in cybersecurity projects now, well, I would like you to think about that cybersecurity project management is really what we do all the time. It's focused on quality and risk management, and we are pretty good at that as project managers. And so I encourage you, if you'd like to continue this discussion with me, to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I greatly encourage you to get involved with PMI. It's been a tremendous benefit to me. I've made great friends, and it's helped my career. So that is cybersecurity project management, Shields Up. Thank you for your attention tonight.
Wow, thank you. Let me stop your screen share here. Okay. Wow. Thank you, Doc. What a powerful presentation. Before we have so many questions here, basically, but before I ask, I begin to read the questions out to you. Are you going to share this slide with us?
Yes, I'm very happy. It's A lot of
Okay.
graphics. I don't know how to do that, but we'll figure out a way, okay?
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. Now I've got a question for you. This is from Vishal Kanungo. He's asking, how do we do quality assurance in agile projects?
Well, so quality assurance are all those things we do before. Okay, so I would begin with the Agile Manifesto and make sure our team is aligned with the values and principles. Very first, okay, so quality assurance. Then we have to make sure that we have the project priorities right, faster, better, cheaper, choose two. And once we have that alignment, then we jump into the sprint guide, the Scrum guide, and by Sutherland. So the Scrum guide directs us on how to follow this process. So remember, quality assurance is about training, following processes, templates, and checklists. So quality assurance for Agile is actually fairly simple. Great question. Thank you.
Okay. I've got another one for you from Janina. I'll be saying, how blockchain, how can it create trust in this untrusting ecosystem? Blockchain, how can you use blockchain to create trust in this ecosystem, which is untrustworthy? That's what you're saying. Did you catch that?
Yes, I have a great answer for that. I've been thinking about that. So for me, I think we need a revolution in the PMO. So I really think that blockchain technology can be applied to project management, and then we'll have a better trust in what we do and better traceability all the way through our contracts, requirements traceability all the way through closure. So we need more research in blockchain to apply it to project management. But blockchain is also a technology that needs to be implemented, and most of that technology can be implemented through traditional waterfall. Does that get to your question?
So we'll leave that to Janina to say. Well, move on to the next person. Sumita is asking, considering the IT is dynamic, fast changing, would it not be better to have an agile approach as compared to waterfall method?
Yeah, great question. Now, agile is best used when there's ambiguity. Okay, so ambiguity in either the end product or ambiguity in the method, the approach. Okay, so ambiguity with the end product for cybersecurity projects, I want to implement QRadar from IBM version 2.2. So there's no ambiguity. IBM, that's all they do. They implement QRadar over and over and over. They know their version inside out. So there's no ambiguity in the output. And implementing software with a vendor that knows it very well, we can just simply go through the waterfall. Okay. Now, where I would like to take your comment is that we kind of take a hybrid approach where we implement the minimum viable product of the software, get it working, and then through agile sprints, add additional functionality and capability. Okay, so I would first implement the minimum viable product that the customer wants, and then take agile sprints. Okay, great question.
Okay, thank you, Doc. So Estebenson is asking, how long about implementing a new cybersecurity program for a certain company? And how often should companies update their cybersecurity policies and programs?
Oh, very good. So remember the 5 functions. Okay, so how long does it take? So what you need to do is do an assessment. Okay, go to the NIST standard and do a cybersecurity audit. That will tell you where you are, your baseline. And it will also identify where you have gaps. And then you identify projects, prioritize your projects. And then a lot like the product backlog, we then implement those prioritized projects to bring you up to date. So I can't address how long it'll take. It depends where you are today. But many of these companies now have the approach where it's continuous. So we have continuous improvement, continuous auditing. We have dev secure ops, where we continuously develop and add security. Okay, so this iterative approach is what we do, but we often take, first of all, the traditional approach to get the bare minimum or the vanilla product in, and then we take the iterative. So how long does it take? You need to do an audit, and then you use sprints to either add more functionality, use sprints to update policies and procedures, use sprints to update training. And that's what I'm addressing in my first book. Great question.
Thank you. Hussein says, can we say that the agile project management approach now is the best approach, that can be used for each project with better results than the traditional approach? He wants to know which one is better. I think, yeah, that's all.
Well, which is better, ice cream or an apple?
Asking if agile or waterfall. I think that's what he's trying to ask.
So it depends on the project. So we have to tailor, pick and choose, and combine. So we use agile when there's high ambiguity. Okay, high ambiguity, either in the end product or in the approach. Think about going to Mars. Okay, the end product, we know exactly where we want to go to, Mars. But the approach, how do we get there? How do we develop this technology? That can be agile. Okay? So when the approach is ambiguous or hasn't been invented, agile is a good approach. When the end product, where we're not certain what to provide, then we use agile. Let me give you an example of an end product. If you see lots of litter at your organization on the grounds, how do we solve a litter problem? Well, we can maybe hire more cleaners, add more trash cans, or more advertising to be responsible. So we have three different solutions, but which one do we choose? We can do an iterative approach to identify which is the best. So we use agile when there's high ambiguity. Okay, so we implement the minimum viable product, and then after we have that, we can take an agile approach to add more functionality.
Thank you, Doctor. This is an anonymous person. So he's asking how long about implementing a new cybersecurity program for a certain company. I think we've done this before.
So look at the NIST framework. It's only 55 pages and it's easy to use. And that's where you start to get an answer to your question.
Okay. Dana J, how GDPR taken into consideration for cybersecurity in other than EU region, in other EU region? I think is asking GDPR, how does that how to take that into consideration for cybersecurity in other EU region? I don't know if you understood that.
I don't understand the question.
Yeah, okay, probably Dana J, you might have to type your question. Who is responsible for conducting cyber risk management assessments within an organization?
Okay, great question. Before it used to be IT, okay, but now IT is pushing a lot of the responsibility to business. Okay, so we implement, not for ourselves, we implement ERP for business, for finance, for HR, not for ourselves. So the thinking now is that IT needs to be a collaborative a partner with business. So business has a strong obligation for cybersecurity as well. And about 30% of the cybersecurity incidents is due to social engineering, clicking on the wrong thing, sharing passwords. So there's an increased emphasis on training, two types of training, role-based training and general awareness. So we're going to see more and more of that. So business has a responsibility to make sure that their teams have good cyber hygiene and that they build digital products and services that are easy to protect. A very lean approach to building as well. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, of course it does. Well, we'll see. Thank you. Anubia asking, cybersecurity needs to be embedded with DevOps cycle as well for continued security. What are the red flags we should keep an eye open for as project managers?
Yeah, so it's on the people side. So the red flags for me are the principles, the Agile Manifesto. It's all the soft skills, so it's sending an email instead of phoning the person. It's that. So it's for me, secure DevOps. It's for those that don't know, that's more software engineering where we design and build in the security. So where it goes wrong, it's on the people side. So I would direct you to the Agile Manifesto with the 12 principles and 4 values, and that fits very close to our project management principles as well. So that's where we need to be tight. The principles, Agile Manifesto. Great question.
Thank you. Rami is asking, isn't 287 days a long period to detect and control cybersecurity? They might be in control of the system already. Is that too long? 287 days? Isn't it too long?
Yeah, that's too much. Yeah. But that's the problem, isn't it? And so that's the KPI that organizations are trying to reduce. And so there's lots of opportunity for cybersecurity projects coming. So I encourage the participants today to think about volunteering for cybersecurity projects. And there's cybersecurity projects that are very technical, but also non-technical projects like audits. So volunteer for some cybersecurity projects. When you do, they won't give you the most challenging ones. They will give you ones that you'll succeed at. It'll only be good for your career. There's more of this work coming.
Okay, thank you. Alexandra, okay, great presentation. So he's asking, what do you think about prospects of project management in cybersecurity being transferred to AI in the future? Do you think that would be possible, or human elements need to stay present?
Yeah, I think great question. I would say approximately about 2/3 of the work will be taken away from us. So that means we will use AI, and we will combine that, with people. So instead of me managing one project, AI will help us manage 2 or 3 projects. So if you're managing right now 4 at a time or 3, AI will help you manage up to 10. So that there's still going to be a role for us. Robots and AI is not that good at being creative. or telling stories. And to get things to get approval, a lot of times you need to be creative, storytelling, and to have that trust. And robots aren't there yet, so there's still a role. But I do think AI is changing the PMO and project management. So follow technologies such as intelligent automation. Intelligent automation, that's going to change everything. Right now, when we work, what do? We go to the computer and we work. Okay, so we go to the work. Intelligent automation will look at the schedule and bring work to us. So we won't pick and choose what work to do. Intelligent automation will bring work that needs to be done according to the schedule. So there's big changes coming by this technology. So it's a great time to do a PhD in this area. You'll be one of the thought leaders. So consider a PhD. Yeah.
Well said, Doctor. Anugia, also some companies like Meta do not put medium vulnerabilities on priority for fixing. We faced an issue with vulnerability we found in WA Docker. Is it okay to go ahead in such cases?
I don't quite understand the question.
That is, we did not put medium vulnerabilities on priority for fixing. So I'm talking about vulnerability, and in a Docker case, there was an issue with vulnerability, but it wasn't put for priority, in terms of priority listing. So, but is it okay to go ahead in such cases when it is not put in the top priority to be fixed?
Okay, so remember, cybersecurity is risk management. So we have probability of occurrence and impact, high, medium, and low. So it comes down to the impact and a probability of occurrence. So we just multiply those two to get a severity. Okay, so we need a measure to which we should focus on. So it's always the highest probability times highest impact. That's what we should focus on.
Wow, thank you, Doctor. In fact, there are so many questions on the chat. Well, let me see if you can put, because they are mixed up in the chat box. The reason I said that we should put our questions in Q&A so it could be easy for us to pull it out. But let me see if you can.
Hello.
Be included as task in Agile projects.
I didn't hear the question, you cut out. Can you repeat the question? I don't hear you.
Okay. Did you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. One question. Just need to confirm my knowledge. Quality assurance is targeting the project's processes and preset baselines, while quality control is to be driven for the resulting product only. Is that correct? Annie is asking just to confirm quality assurance against quality control, just to be sure that he or she is.
So ABC, it's all those things we do before to improve quality so we get it right the first time. Everything we do before. Okay, there's an old saying, measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once. So everything we do before to make sure we're prepared. We put on a helmet before we ride a bike. Okay, so everything we do before we do the work, ABC. Then we complete the work, and then we look for defects. Find and fix defects, quality control. Does that answer that?
Thank you. Wow, so many questions, Greg, so many questions. Well, let's just pick this last one before we call it a day. This is from Consolado. He's asking, how are the cybersecurity fares today? Are the numbers, are numbers of ransomware attacks costing US corporations millions? How much is the cost versus benefit to mitigate if today, just trying to compare the cost and benefits.
Great question.
Yeah.
So IBM did a study. Look for the IBM study on cybersecurity cost, and IBM is reporting that it's 30 times more expensive to rectify rather than prevent. 30 times more expensive to fix rather than to prevent a cybersecurity problem. 30 times. So that's what IBM is reporting.
Wow. Thank you, guys. No, we have to call it a day. I know that we've got some other questions, but we can't take them all for now because we'll find no time. Because again, Greg is in Australia and it's past midnight. So we need to just allow him to leave. So so good to have you guys today. It's been an amazing time. I've learned a lot. Not even I myself, not an IT person, but I've learned a lot today. So I'm going to be looking forward, to learning more on what you have, shown us today, insights, knowledge, and all of that. So it's great to have you today, Greg, and we appreciate your coming. It's such an honor to have you today. And guys, thanks for coming. We are so glad to have you today, and I hope that you've learned a lot from Dr. Greg. And we look forward to having you next time. Please go to our website, check for the next webinar, which comes up on the 14th of September next week, and register and join us next week. Dr. Greg, thank you for coming, and we hope we're going to see you next time. Next time, maybe we're going to call on you again to learn more about the cybersecurity stuff in the project management ecosystem. Thank you for coming, guys. Thank you, Greg, and have a wonderful evening. God bless you. Thank you.
Night.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Olamide. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Yes, thanks, everyone, and thanks to the organizers. So I'm going to go now. Is that okay?
Doctor, you can go, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have another presentation this morning.
Oh, wow.
I have to drive to Brisbane. It's 100 kilometers away, about 120, in about 8 hours.